I have to be so careful to watch out for this need to have a plan. It's kind of programmed into me, biting at me, just making me feel like I need to know where I'm going and fit it into some sort of category of a certain type of profession or a certain type of mold for myself, that if I want to be an artist or a writer, or I've got to fit it into this category of bad news, bad news. And most artists, accomplished artists, will tell you that. But if you, like many of us, certainly like myself, have been down that road of a completely ill-fitting career from a spiritual sense, or from the perspective of what excites you and what is meaningful to you in that sort of beautifully poetic way, then you've got a long road ahead in getting out into this free-thinking, respect for all of your uniqueness in the great balance of your true sort of spiritual sense, and respecting all of your own artistic unique endeavors, not having to be able to justify to other people, to roll out some sort of explanation at any point as to who you are, where you're going, and what you would call yourself. I mean, that's the hardest part, isn't it, in a society that asks you, what do you do at every step of the way? Well, what do you call yourself? Well, in this interim period, I don't know, just exploring life, really. Is that good enough? Why don't we start with there? And if you're not happy, I'll be over there trying out some options, seeing what works. We sort of forget that trial and error is the fabric of society, the fabric of growth and learning. Accomplishing anything in a meaningful sense is just a process of trial and error. But if we're going to corrupt that process by being so petrified of the criticism, or the sense of the fear of judgment, or the need to prove myself to the other person's expectations in advance of even working out what the fuck I want, I'm not going to get very far. And for the need to prove and the need to demonstrate that I'm something tangible to somebody else, I'm going to destroy the process. I'm going to ruin any chance that I have of getting there in any sort of self-respecting fashion, in any sort of meaningful time frame to me, without just constantly diverting myself off into these other wild, sort of desperate, grasping attempts to find a category for myself. And so I can quickly produce something to show to somebody else that I'm a filmmaker, or whatever the fuck you might choose. I just think that this is a tragic byproduct of our current society. You end up in these ridiculously ill-fitting professions, things you never would have even imagined if your life was built on meaning and purpose and excitement. And we're all just following that sort of mold. Families through generations coming back from this necessity-driven world, and proving and being brought up and afraid of criticism and judgment. This dark place, doing it for your own good. Just leaves you with this tense adult persona. You just got to unstitch it piece by piece, line by line. Say goodbye to all of this needing to prove, performing, perfecting. I should be doing this, should be doing that. This spread betting. Your personality becomes this sort of game of chance where you're just putting little bets here, there and everywhere across the table, just in case he might judge and what he might think. And then you're out there, desperate, totally like a feather in the wind, trying to see everything in this intellectualized way of viewing life from every possible viewpoint imaginable. You're just desperately trying to sort of carve out a personality based on a perceived set of expectations. I mean, it's like this constantly moving treadmill. How do you know where you're going to go? And it's like a feather in the wind. There's just no wonder you can't stay true to your artistic goals or missions or projects. No wonder. I mean, it's scary place. You're just living for this fear of judgment. If you can break it down, if you can get away from it, if you can move into another place, and move into a place that makes sense, and start to listen to what excites you. Remember what it was that you used to play with. And remember how that set of trial and error was the basic means of getting anywhere for you as a child. Playing with toys, it was trial and error. For fear of the error, we give up on trying. But this is the basic premise of growth and development as human beings. How can we give up on that? How can we have a society which is convincing our children to cut themselves short of their own natural self-exploration? But what are we doing in the name of saving others from the abominable fears that might await them around the corner, as we had suffered, or to avoid them, save them from suffering themselves? And to cut them off in this way is a tragic, tragic thing to do. So I think we have a responsibility to ourselves to remind ourselves of that as we grow up, and then as we see into our own futures and look at what it is that we really value, what it is that's really meaningful to us, what is it that makes sense, that makes us feel alive, that makes us feel excited and enthralled and want to just, right, it's that. Well, why is that some sort of ridiculous idealistic myth? How is that possible? How is it possible that that's the life that we've arrived at, where this is now some sort of hippie ideal? We all know, if we look at the people that are actually accomplishing in life in a way that's meaningful to themselves, that that's all they've done. But we still can't seem to look and turn that mindset around in ourselves and validate what it would mean to us in order to do that. What would it actually mean in our own self-dialogue to have built a life on those terms?